I do have. I'm 58 years old. I've accomplished a few things in my life. I've run 4 marathons. I started running marathons when I was 325 pounds. And every step was agonizing. And I didn't start off to run a marathon. I didn't start off to lose weight. And after I lost 10 pounds, it got a little bit easier. And I'd lose 10 more pounds, and it got real easy. Then now I'm saying, okay, hey, I can see my feet again, you know. So now we're on to something. And before long, the training partner that I was running with, I could actually run with him for 2 miles or 3 miles or 4 miles. And one thing led to another. We said, well, let's apply for the New York City Marathon. He said, okay, we'll apply to the lottery. We didn't get it. My training buddy, he said, no, I'm not going to do this year. I said, well, look, I'm 50 years old. I don't have tomorrow. I need to do this now. So I continued on and ran in the Richmond Marathon that year. The next year, I was eligible for the New York City Marathon. I think we ran down this street. Doesn't the marathon come right down?
4th Avenue.
4th Avenue. Oh, it was the most fun I've ever had in my life. Except for the race. I mean, it was hard. but seeing the people waving, it was great. But the accomplishment of a marathon is really not about that day, because that day, it's really, I don't want to say a piece of cake, but you've done it so many times. Here's the thing that it takes for us to win. We can win. Here's what it takes. Believe. Each of us believe. Well, what about this person? And well, what about that person? And well, what about this? What about Michael Faulkner? I've talked with Joe Loader. I think Joe is a great friend. I know Tamara better than I do Joe, and I've asked for their help. I'm going to be meeting with John Katsimatidis. I'm going to ask for his help. Listen, here's the thing. In all honesty, I believe I am going to win. And I'm going to do everything that I can do now to make sure that everybody that I talk to understands that. But the most important people to convince that I can win are people like you in rooms like this. Because if I can move you from saying he can win to saying we can win. Because I need you to understand it's about what we can do together. Because that's the only way that this city and every urban city across our country is going to be turned around. We've got some huge problems, and they're not going to be solved by one man with a huge ego. They're going to be solved by a team. And I think New Yorkers are the greatest team in the entire planet. And I want to be the coach. I want to be that guy who kind of pulls people together from this segment and that segment, like Lincoln was. Can you imagine bringing people who opposed you to your cabinet table? I can't even imagine it. But that was the way he did things. I want to be that guy who pulls people together. We have the greatest divide in our nation right now since the Civil War. The greatest. And I don't believe the problem is race. To be sure, race is involved, but the root cause, I don't believe it's race. I believe it's the deterioration in the family.
Yes. Well.
And the deteriorating family cannot be fixed by government. You can't wave a government solution. I mean, I think government's partly to blame for how we got here. Not saying there was malicious intent involved, but the great society was like, okay, hello. But here we are, 50 years later. What are we going to do about it? We've got to have some real thought put to this and some real measurable outcomes that measure our success. We've got to have real marketplace, market-driven solutions. And I believe that I'm the guy, because I have served this city. I came back to this city in 1988, left vice president at Liberty University
Well,
with Jerry Falwell. I left there to be a missionary in Times Square. My wife and then 2 small children. We served the city. I ran the soup kitchen. Then I moved to Calvary Baptist Church on 57th Street, where I was the pastor for youth and community outreach. We started, that's when I met this guy who was a U.S. attorney named Rudolph Giuliani. And I was part of the Giuliani revolution for the first 2 terms. I was part of their, part of that group and proud of it. And did this while living and working in Harlem. And then the Pataki years. I helped the Pataki years. I have helped every Republican in the mayoralty or the governorship since I've been in New York. It's my turn. It's my time. It's our time. Because Republican ideals, I believe in them. I can't run as a Democrat. I don't believe in those ideals. I don't believe in government solutions to the problems we have. I believe in a market-driven economy. I believe in lower taxes. I believe in personal responsibility. I believe in individual rights and individual freedoms. I believe in those things, those core values. So I can't do anything else. But guess what? And here's the kicker. I believe that these ideas in the marketplace of ideas in New York City will sell with the right messenger. And I believe that I am that messenger. Would you believe with me? The greatest challenge that I face right now is to change the narrative that deals with money. And I'm working to change that narrative. And I'm talking with millionaires and billionaires every day, and they're not going to really change it overnight. I need to talk to people who can give me 20 bucks. And talk to enough of them through social media. And so we have, thank you. Faulkner for New York. We have
F-O-U-R?
Faulkner. He has one of my cards is in the bag. Yeah, one of my cards is in the bag, and I have a book for you, and I'll sign it for you after. But I want you to know that I'm very comfortable in this position. I want you to know that I love this city. This is a labor of love. I have come to the place in my life, and to be honest with you, by God's grace, I could retire and do something else. I want to do this. I want to do this because when I hear stories like the one I shared with you about Ferguson, Missouri, or Chicago, Illinois, I'm saying, we're not getting it. We're not really understanding. And I feel badly because the divide, and every time we see a shooting like the one in South Carolina is a tragedy. Yeah. Don't get me wrong, it's a tragedy. But guess what? The bad guy's in jail. He's charged with murder. Okay?
Let's move on.
He's in jail.
Right.
And he should be in jail.
Absolutely.
He should be in jail. And hopefully he'll answer for his crimes. But there are a lot more huge things that we need to do to bring us together. And in order for us to get it, as conservatives, as Republicans, we really do need a better messenger than some of the ones that we've had in the past.
Yeah, oh yeah.
We really do. And when you see somebody who understands it, who gets it, who stands by it, you can't be a spectator at that point. At that point, you must, if you believe in these principles, you must be engaged. You must be engaged. By the same drive and determination that has brought you here this afternoon, you have to engage. You cannot take this passively and as a spectator. Because I'll be honest with you, I don't know any other Michael Faulkners. I don't know any others. who live in this city, who love this city, who have served this city, who've done the things that I've done, the collective body of work that I've put together. Someone said, well, what about the government experience? I've been under the thumb of the government, just like all of us has. I can tell you government solutions don't work. So with that, I will wrap up these comments, but then give a chance to ask some questions. Okay? Yes, sir.
I think what you're saying is great, and we haven't had good messengers. And especially on social issues, I'm conservative, I'm a Goldwater conservative, and we lose election after election on issues that don't matter. Abortion, gay rights, gun control. The Democrats talk about it because they know they're on the winning side.
Right.
We need somebody like you who's reasonable, professional, who can say, look, it's a personal matter. Now, I'm Catholic, I'm not comfortable with abortion or gay rights or stuff. But you know what? It's a personal thing. It's not government's role. So let's put that away and talk about the things that favor us. Law and order. And let me tell you something. The toughest law and order people you'll find are the people in the ghettos. And they'll vote for you. And they'll vote Republican if we have a mature, reasonable person like you going out there. And I'm with you.
But those issues also aren't under the purview of the mayor. He can't do anything about it.
But they talk about it because they favor the Democrats.
Right.
So we can't talk about it, and we have to be on the right side and say, listen, it's a personal issue, it's not a government issue.
You know, if
We're not
people
talking
ask
about
you where you stand on abortion, where you stand on gay rights, I'm like, listen, that's a federal issue. I'm here to run the city. I have no authority to change that kind of law.
Well, let me
That'll be hard to
tell you what I'm gonna say.
It'll be hard
Okay,
to
let me tell you how I deal with it. As a pastor, as an evangelical pastor, I do not believe in abortion.
There you go.
I do not believe in gay rights. And if you go to my website, you'll see me on national TV, on Comedy Central, with 3 gay activists talking about my position on gay rights. Hello. I invite any other conservative to do that. You gotta go to my website. It was on the Larry Wilmore show on Comedy Central. You gotta see it. You gotta see it. I can handle it with the best of them. I don't agree with your position. However, it's the law of the land. I do not intend to try to change that law. I did not support that law. I lobbied against it. I did everything I could. But now that it's the law of the land, let's move on.
Thank you.
I do not intend to spend time as mayor trying to undo Roe v. Wade. I will not do that. However, if given an opportunity to speak for life, I will. But I do not believe in undermining a woman's right
To choose.
to choose.
Absolutely.
I do not believe in that. However, I must champion life. I hope that makes sense.
Absolutely.
I hope that makes sense.
How about that?
But other than that, and I know New York media, other than that, the gotchas are going to say, but what about, and I'll say, but what about, in your face? Please, you're trying to get me to get involved in something that's really not, and you're not going to take me down that rabbit hole. The reason is because I know these streets. I understand this. I understand, quote unquote, the plight of the poor because I have served them. I have washed the feet of homeless people and fed them meals. I have lived above the soup kitchen. I've lived the life. So you're not going to out liberal me. You're not. It's not going to happen. So, but so anyway. Any other questions? Yes, sir.
Where are you on illegal immigration?
That's not a mayoral issue. That's not
No.
a mayoral issue.
It is so.
There is a vote going through
Yeah,
the
law
city
enforcement.
council that they can allow illegal aliens to vote in municipal elections.
That's right, the municipal IDs that were passed.
Listen,
Right.
okay, and honestly, okay, so I feel very strongly about immigration, and I have a passage, I have a book for everybody, that my position on immigration is in my book, okay? I believe that this country was built by immigrants. We need to have strong borders, but we also need to have immigration reform in which we have a stronger more definitive pathway to legal immigration. I am not one of these people that says, well, we need to, and the reason is, as a person of color, and I'm telling you this from my own personal experience, we need a fair, balanced immigration policy that I have witnessed is not necessarily fair. And if you've been down to the INS and to the Department of Immigration Services, anybody that can tell you, it's not user-friendly. But with that said, I am not for total amnesty, nor am I for giving people who are undocumented government documentation, which basically says that you've skirted the federal need for federal documentation. So I do believe
So
that.
how would you, because it's already passed.
Right.
The city council put it through, like the gentleman was trying to say, the municipal IDs have passed, they're giving IDs out. So basically, Senator Ball from upstate New York, he came in, had a big debate with City Councilman Daniel Drome, claiming that, according to the Senator Greg Ball, that these IDs, the FBI was totally against these IDs because they feel it's a breeding ground for terrorists. So how would you deal with this? It's really an accident waiting to happen.
And to be honest with you, we as the city, we've got to speak to that. I'm not going to, because like you said, this has already happened.
It's happened.
So this has already happened. So
Right.
pre-existing conditions, I can't necessarily say
tough-
that I want to undo. It is a very tough thing. But by then, I'm sure we will have some lawsuits, and by the time I get into office, we will have some lawsuits and some things that have unrupted that where we're going to have to tweak it and we're going to have to fix it. And at that point, we'll address some of those issues.
That's a really tough issue.
It is a tough issue.
Speaking as an immigrant, originally from Italy, came to New York, I graduated high school, went into the Marine Corps, served, ended up coming down with leukemia, multiple sclerosis, among other things, in which I'm happy to say that my leukemia right now, I found out, is in remission, and I'm about to graduate from Brooklyn College with my master's now.
God bless you.
What you say?
God bless you.
What you just said regarding immigrants, I happen to take a position that is more in line with what you just said. Now, my question is New York. It's made up of so many different communities. Liberals are everywhere. I unfortunately have to do an internship with one because there's no Republicans anywhere. So I'm kind of stuck. But be that as it may, okay, the work I'm doing with Donovan's campaign right now, I know how important it is to tailor a message to every individual community. Not every community understands something the same way. I'm going to tell you, when something is brought to me in a certain way, I will understand it, whereas maybe somebody in the African American community will understand it a different way. So in other words, will you be able to go into every community, tailor a message? So example, if I go into the African American community and I say something about, Jay-Z, he's a great rapper. I can't float like him, my rap sucks. But because mine sucks and his is better, now he has to give me 50% of everything that he makes. Are you going to be able to do something like that with every individual community so you can reach as many people as possible with a free market message?
As best I can, but let me tell you what my track record has been. As best I can, it's a good question. I understand what you're saying. My track record has been that I have been, through my lifetime, have been able to transcend racial groups, socioeconomic groups. I have been to the White House, I have been, I've served in soup kitchens. So I get the social strata and my own life experiences by growing up in Southeast Washington, D.C., earning a master's degree, being a freshman All-American at Virginia Tech. I've ridden to some of the top levels of, not the elite athletes, but the top level of athletic performance. And yet I understand other people's plight. My first wife that passed away was an immigrant. and we went through the naturalization process with her. I went